Hi guys, I hope that you are doing well, and today we're going to discuss June 2022. I did choose 6 events to talk about, and this does not mean that it's only 6 events that are happening in June. No, it's actually a pretty busy month, but I did pick 6 to talk about because I thought that maybe they were the most significant. And also June is the time of summer solstice or Litha or midsummer. It's a pagan holiday, and you for sure can use that time to manifest something good, something new into your life. Summer solstice is all about fertility, so you could really ask for something new. You could ask for your project to blossom, you could ask for your relationship to blossom, or maybe you could ask for literal fertility, right? There can be many different options on how you can go around this, but I think it is time to set intentions. It is time to welcome new beginnings into your life and ask for those new beginnings if you haven't really had anything new happen in a while. But the 6 events that I would like to talk about are: the first one, Mercury going direct, of course, on June 3rd. And then the second one is about Saturn going retrograde on June 5th. The third event is Uranus conjunct Venus on June 11th. The fourth event is full moon in Sagittarius squaring Neptune on June 14th. The fifth event is North Node conjunct Venus on June 16th. And the last event, the sixth event, is new moon in Cancer squaring Jupiter on June 28th. So now that we're done with the dates, let's move on to the signs. Hi Aries, I hope that you are doing well. So for June, you've got the first event, June 3rd, Mercury going direct in your second house. So any concerns regarding money, any mistakes in checks, receipts, banks, I don't know what kind of mistakes you could have in the bank, but there may be some misunderstandings and some mistakes happening in the financial system. For example, PayPal or your bank, or maybe you have been having issues receiving a certain payout. Maybe it's been delayed, right? So now Mercury going into your third house, going direct in your second house and eventually going into your third house, you may finally receive that payout that you've been wanting to have. You may finally fix certain situation with your financial systems, right? Financial platforms. You may also be able to purchase a course, for example, to pay for some kind of an educational pursuit, to pay for a trip. There could be communications coming regarding a certain trip, certain meeting maybe, or even, for example, if you needed to book something but couldn't before, now you're able to book it, whatever that might be, right? A trip, like a short trip, or maybe it's some kind of seminar, webinar, and so on. So things are going well here starting June 3rd. Now the second event on June 5th, this is Saturn going retrograde in your 11th house until October 23rd. Saturn is gonna have its own interesting things happening with Uranus until then, but what is important to note in June is that you will start going back in time. You're going to start reevaluating your social circle, the community that you're in. Because once Saturn turns direct in October, at the very end of October, you will want to have a good community next to you. You're going to want to have very secure goals and very secure gains almost from all the work that you've been doing. So this is the time to go back to, yes, get rid of certain people, certain situations maybe that are hindering your progress, right? So that your goals can be more secure, they can be more substantial, they can actually bring you the gains that you need, that you desire, and that you deserve. I have Saturn in the 11th house natally, and it's also retrograde in the 11th house natally. And you know, when I had my Saturn return, all these different people that, you know, I used to be friends with, they just left, and I actually was not upset about that, you know, but also it helped me to be able to receive the gains that I was always working really hard for, but could never be recognized. And that's kind of the issue with Saturn in the 11th house. You know, you work really hard, but it's almost sometimes impossible to be recognized for your efforts, no matter where you work, no matter what kind of work you do. So here it is about going back, restructuring something so that you can come out of this transit with a really supportive community that shares your values, that shares your goals, right, and supports you in many different ways, but also with the gains, with something that you've been working hard for. Once you come out, you will finally receive the desirable and the well-deserved gains, okay, whatever that may be for you. It can be different bonuses, you know, it can be maybe a higher paycheck, you know, for everybody is going to be different. Maybe some kind of a possession of the government that is going to be yours. So for example, a very important document can be obtained. But it's not the time to obtain it yet. It is the time to work for it, okay? To work for that bonus, to work for that paycheck, to work for that document, and so on until October 23rd. The third event that I would like to discuss is Uranus conjuncting Venus in your second house in Taurus, and it's happening on June 11th. Beautiful event, because while Uranus is very edgy and sharp and a little, you know, crazy, Venus is very soft, so it is able to smooth out the edges. It's able to soften Uranus energy. And here, I believe in the second house, it's very much connected to money, and money coming very unexpectedly. Yes, it's usually the money that is owed to you, possibly, because I'm sorry, it's I'm getting ahead of myself. It's the money that you earn, however, it's opposing the 8th house, and it could be money coming to you that's actually owed to you. Maybe not something that you necessarily worked for and now you're waiting for the payout, right? But it's more like something unexpected and well-deserved as well. It could also be an expense, so it doesn't necessarily have to be just a payout to you, right? It could be a very expensive purchase, but it comes to you with a maybe it's an element of surprise that you're now able to buy something, or that you're finally seeing this money, but it can also add excitement. You know, Uranus can bring excitement too, and I feel like this is one of those, because also, you know, Venus in its rulership, and it's doing well in Taurus, so I don't think that there is going to be anything negative like loss, right, financial loss. But I would be cautious with spending, right, because Uranus can make it very chaotic, where you just spend, you splurge. So I would say watch out for that energy, but I think it's going to be possibly a payout to you. The fourth event that I would like to discuss is a full moon in Sagittarius in your 9th house, squaring Neptune in your 12th house on June 14th. And this one, while it's positive for you, it's still a tricky one because it is making that square to Neptune. So I would say this, your beliefs here can be questioned. It does hold a positive outcome for you because Sagittarius makes a trine to you. So it does hold a positive outcome, but here you could feel a little bit disturbed when it comes to your beliefs, when it comes to the system that you just kind of carry with you throughout life. And it could be a political belief, it could be a religious belief, right? It could be specific worldview that may be coming to an end, or maybe going through some kind of a transformation. And here what's important is, you know, to take off those rose-colored glasses, because a square to Neptune is going to allow you to do so. You have to accept that yes, you got older, got more mature, your views have changed. You have to accept that and let it go, right? Because there is a positive outcome for you behind that door, but you have to open that door, and it may be a little bit conflicting to just step into that new environment, to finish something old that no longer serves you, something that maybe you believed in for the last 10 years, but it's just no longer sits right with you, right? And a lot of times it can be major religions that kind of trigger you in some way and you start stepping away, or vice versa. You know, you're getting more into them. Maybe you used to never even believe in anything, and now you're like, well, no, there is something there, you know, there is. So it's conflicting though to let go of something old, you know. It's conflicting to remove the rose-colored glasses and look into the eyes of the reality, right? But you need that, and the outcome is positive here for you specifically. So I would say go for it, and don't be afraid to change your views, to change your patterns, to be open-minded to new beliefs, right? Because we're always changing. We are never the same. On June 16th, now this one is more minor, but I did decide to mention it because it is a conjunction with the North Node, and it's Venus here again in your second house in Taurus, conjuncting the North Node. North Node has the energy of Uranus in some way, you know, it's chaotic. And it's also like, you know, something that's new to you, something that you're trying to explore. And Venus here, I believe, again softens the edges, because, you know, when North Node is transiting your second house, it's like, well, we have to learn how to value ourselves. We have to respect ourselves. We have to prioritize ourselves. We have to make sure that, you know, financially we don't struggle anymore, or maybe not as much as we used to. We have to create a new pattern that works for us and that makes us feel respectful towards ourselves, that makes us feel like we cherish ourselves. And it can be uneasy, you know, it can be uneasy, this new transition. It's like, how do I manage this? How do I just do what I love and get paid instead of, you know, instead of maybe just doing the job that I've always done and, you know, keeping my mouth shut and getting my money. Venus is really smoothing out the edges here and kind of petting you on the head or shoulder and being like, it's okay, you know, it can be a very pleasant experience. So this is when you get that belief that, oh yeah, you know, maybe I'm on the right track with this. Maybe this new source of income that I'm trying to get together is actually good for me. You know, it's like you gain some sort of confidence here about this. So I think it's going to be a nice time. And the last event that I would like to discuss is New Moon in Cancer squaring Jupiter in your 4th house on June 28th. Well, so this one is a little challenging. It's actually conjuncting the Black Moon Lilith. And, you know, I typically don't really use Lilith unless it's a conjunction, and hardly ever, basically like Chiron. You know, I use it sometimes, sometimes I don't use it. But here, there seems to be a new beginning happening within your private life, basically your home life, you know, your relationship with your family, whether it's your own family or your parents. But the element of trickiness can come up, just as the element of exaggeration and disappointment, because we exaggerate some kind of a perfect outcome, but it's actually not that perfect. It's actually got its flaws, and we need to accept it and not be so disappointed. It's not that, you know, I want everybody to be prepared for the worst. Not necessarily. It's just that we can see the situation in a more positive way than it actually is. So you are receiving a new beginning here within your home, right? Within your property. Maybe there is a new home project coming up. Maybe there is a renovation coming up. Maybe there is an opportunity to buy a home or sell a home coming up. However, the price may be altered, okay? Or maybe the renovations are not gonna go exactly how you want. Maybe the material that you want to buy isn't quite that nice looking, for example, right? Or the person that's going to be working on your home, I don't know, changing your floors or something, isn't going to be very qualified. There is a new beginning coming, but you can't expect too much from it. That's how I'm seeing this new moon, and I am going to make a separate video about it. But what I'm trying to say is that do not expect the worst, but don't get your hopes up either. you know, with this new beginning that is happening in the area of family and home, because it can still be good. It can still be good. It's just that it may not be amazing and perfect. Perfect is the word I'm looking for. And we have to be prepared for that, you know. But now we're moving on to Taurus. Hi, Taurus. So your ruler Venus is going to be extremely active in June, which means that your life is probably going to be extremely active as well. On June 3rd, we have Mercury going direct in your first house, and then it's going to enter your second house after June 14th. So Mercury direct in the first house can talk about you maybe having less misunderstandings with others. Finally, it seems like communication is going more smoothly. It seems like you're able to open up to others and express your concerns, express your needs, express anything that you want much easier than you could in the last month or so. You know, you may start feeling a little bit more self-confident, you may start feeling more understood, and you can continue moving forward and you know, eventually possibly discussing some professional projects here. So you are gaining that self-confidence more and more and more as Mercury stations and then goes direct, and then it goes in your second house. You know, there may have been some mistakes between you and others in a business partnership, in a romantic partnership, some miscommunications as well, but now it's all getting solved. If you've been in a fight with someone, most likely you're going to make up. So the second event is Saturn going retrograde, okay? So Mercury direct, Saturn retrograde in your 10th house. It's a big event for you. It's happening on June 5th, and it's going to be retrograde until October 23rd. So it's going to have its own dance with Uranus again, and we will talk about it later. So it's like a heavy transit, you know? It's not just Saturn going retrograde. It's going to do some stuff. But for you here in the 10th house, it's making you go back and reevaluate what is going on at your current job, what is going on in the environment, right? What is going on with the authorities, what is going on with maybe your status. There is that time when, for example, something has been collecting dust on the shelf for a very long time. For example, it's some kind of paperwork that you're involved in, or maybe a promotion that you've been really wanting, but they told you, yeah, we'll look into it, and never brought it up again. I can't say that it's going to necessarily happen until October 23rd, but it can be reevaluated and perfected in a way, right? Restructured so that it's going to receive a green light towards the end of October. There is the time when maybe authorities are going to question you in a way like, oh, I see you now. Can you bring me this one more document? Or can you show up at this place and can you do this interview? They're going to want to see you, because once Saturn goes direct, they will be able to make that final decision about you, whether to maybe give you a promotion or give you that job, right? Or maybe finish your paperwork somehow, or maybe change your status, right? If you've been waiting for that. But it's also about your own authority, I believe. You know, if you want to become your own authority here and have certain goals that are very important, that are very public, you have that time to work on that here, okay? So that's a big transit for you. The third event that I would like to talk about is Uranus conjuncting your ruler Venus in the first house on June 11th. There could be some unexpected things happening from you directly to others, and this could, for example, be you stepping out of your comfort zone, you feeling very attractive, you feeling very self-confident, and approaching someone that maybe you couldn't approach before. You know, this may be out of your character. This may be something out of your comfort zone as well, but it's almost like you have all this support from this transit that you know it's out of your comfort zone, but you're still going and doing it. And it could also be, since it's opposing your 7th house, it could be maybe the partners, you know, the potential partners coming around and kind of surprising you, you know, surprising you with a sudden, I don't know, romantic getaway, or surprising you with a message. For example, it's like, oh, this person messaged me, like, what's going on, you know? And there could be some possibly romantic encounters where you are very much seen by others, and others are trying to approach you in a romantic way, but it's very unexpected. Or maybe the people that are approaching you, you feel like it's very unexpected. But it could also be you. It could be you approaching other people. And it doesn't have to be just love. It could also be some financial deals. It could be some professional endeavors also. It's like it's out of your character to approach, and yet you're doing it, and you're doing it successfully. The fourth event on June 14th is a full moon in Sagittarius in your 8th house, squaring Neptune in your 11th house. So this one, it's interesting. I feel like there is something ending here in terms of a financial deal of some kind. It is ending, and possibly, let's say, if you were applying for a loan, if you were expecting some kind of an answer from a bank, from a lender, you're going to have it here. However, it also comes with the element of well, you know, maybe it's not as great as I wanted it to be. Maybe this, you know, isn't necessarily how my plan was. Maybe the gains that I was waiting for, the rewards that I was waiting for, aren't quite enough. You know, there is the element of rose-colored glasses dropping on the ground and you seeing the reality more clearly. And with the 8th house also, you know, there could maybe be some certain crisis in your life that may be ending. However, once that crisis is ending, there is also some kind of truth that comes out. It could be connected to a friendship. It could be connected to a whole community. If you are constantly connected to a certain community. There could also be possibly an ending when it comes to being dependent on someone financially, or being dependent on something financially. So for example, you're working with clients, you're constantly dependent on, you know, the client work, or you could maybe pay off a mortgage, you could pay off a car, you could pay off like just a big purchase, right? You could finally pay it off, but then maybe, for example, they'll charge you more interest or something, right? Because like with Neptune in the 11th making a square, it's like, well, I expected something different here. You know, I expected less, right? Expected better. Well, why are you making me pay this now? Or why are you making me go through this now? Why are you making me find this out? You know, I didn't necessarily want to know this, and now I do. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. You know, we're gonna do a separate video on this. We're gonna go more in depth, but it's a tricky full moon. Okay, now the 5th event is North Node conjuncting Venus in your 1st house on June 16th. And here we've got very similar energy to the Uranus conjunction, okay, because North Node has similar energies. It's also a little chaotic, right? And it's also this kind of a new progressive thing that we're trying to maneuver. We're trying to learn our way around it. We are in the new environment for us. And it seems like you're going to gain more confidence. You're going to realize around this time that I'm doing a good job. You know, I'm exactly where I need to be. I am gaining that self-confidence. I know that this is where I need to be. And I feel like it makes you maybe feel more attractive, or maybe makes you feel more secure, more, I don't want to say earthy because it's North Node and Uranus is in your sign, you know, but it's this whole, you know, trying a new role, trying a new hat on, trying to get out of your comfort zone, and not just this month, but in the last couple of years, makes you feel good now. You know, it's making you feel better and better and better, especially if you're Taurus rising, and you're okay moving forward. You may feel that energy around 16th of June. And the last event is New Moon in Cancer on June 28th. and it's in the 3rd house, and it squares Jupiter in the 12th house. This is where, for example, if you're trying to go abroad, this is where a document may come up finally. However, before you receive that document, you, for example, have to, I don't know, go for an interview, or you have to go get a certain signature, or you have to go get a document. You know, you have to maybe talk to someone, create a contact with someone, like, right, 3rd house. So it's a new beginning, and it's actually not that bad for you. It's making a sextile to you, and the outcome is positive, right? But with Jupiter, with the square to Jupiter, sometimes we imagine something totally perfect, and in reality, it's just not that, you know, it's not that perfect. So there is an element of disappointment here, receiving this new beginning, but not necessarily in the exact way how you wanted it to look. So exaggeration, right? And then don't exaggerate, right? Because then you could be disappointed. And of course, you know, I'm not trying to say, oh, you shouldn't dream about anything, or you shouldn't really expect the best. I also don't want you to expect the worst. But I do have to mention that with this energy, you know, there is an element of thinking something that's too good to be true, right? And then getting a regular result and be like, where's this perfect thing that I imagined in my head? So especially connected to learning, to documents, to traveling abroad possibly. Yes, you will be able to do that, but there is a twist. There is something that still needs to be done. So it's not quite smooth sailing. It's not quite perfect, but you will like the result. Thank you for watching, Taurus. Now we're moving on to Gemini. Hi Gemini, and happy birthday actually. So for you, the first event, June 3rd, Mercury is going direct, thankfully, and of course it's your ruler, so that's a very important transit for you from your 12th house into your 1st house. And 12th house here, you know, you may have had a hard time sleeping, you may have had a very restless mind, very restless body, just energy overall. You know, you could have a really hard time resting, but also you could maybe be preparing documents to go abroad, to travel, especially the further, the more accurate this can be if somebody's traveling. There could be just gathering different documents, you know, communicating maybe with people or companies, clients abroad, and getting ready to shine. And now with Mercury going direct and then eventually going into your 1st house around June 14th, this is when you're going to be able to shine and show yourself and speak up and maybe communicate with partners, communicate with jobs, companies, clients, whoever there is, with more ease, which maybe could not necessarily be achieved before because you were either nervous about something, or maybe you were very restless, or maybe you had to study a lot, do a lot of research. You could simply be tired, but you're going to be gaining your energy back. Now on June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 9th house until October 23rd. Saturn is going to have some unpleasant times there with Uranus and so on, but we're not going to talk about that. What's important to know for June is that you're going to start reevaluating what you actually believe in, and whether or not this is something that you want to be secure in your life. Because 9th house talks about our values, the worldly values, the views on politics, the views on science, on religion, right? Those strong views that a lot of groups, you know, disagree with each other and create conflicts. And here, you know, Saturn is like a bucket of cold water on your head, you know, like, are you sure you want to proceed with this view, with this belief, with this pattern? What do you want to change about your life, about your views that actually is going to serve you? There can be many different patterns coming up here, and actually, you know, this could be the time for you to be prepared, to get prepared to go to school. to gain some kind of knowledge or diploma or something. But Saturn being here, while it wants you to work really hard at it, at the same time it's creating a little bit of obstacles here and there, you know, because it wants you to perfect that knowledge, to perfect that educational pursuit, to perfect that legal case or something, you know. But also, if you are involved in a legal case, for example, you know, this could be like a clock going backwards. It's like you may be required to get more documents for your legal case, more evidence, more proof. Maybe there is something that simply might be delayed. Might be delayed with a legal case, or might be delayed with your travel. However, I know it's a pretty long transit, but after October 23rd, this is when the decision most likely is going to come around, and it could be in your favor because it's in the 9th house. It's a positive one. I mean, it makes you know, it makes a trine to you, so I think it's gonna be a decision in your favor. And I think that the travel situation that you may be working on is going to be also very nice, and an educational program pursuit, whatever that may be. But right now you need to figure out all the details, right? And you need to work through some things, and maybe you need to reevaluate your views overall. Maybe you've been a little bit stubborn and very fixated on a certain view, and now it might be time to go over it one more time and maybe change it. The third event on June 11th is Uranus conjuncting Venus in your 12th house. This one is interesting. It's kind of hard to interpret. You know, there could be potentially some love coming from afar. Very unexpected. These are not necessarily an indication of someone coming back from the past, but just because it's in the 12th house, you know, something hidden coming up to the surface, Uranus definitely makes sure it comes up. And Venus being here, there seems to be maybe an unexpected sum of money coming your way, or a person coming back around somehow, and they may shock you. They may shock you with their approach, with their offers to you. Okay, so in another way, if it's not romantic, if it's not financial, how this can play out, well, or like any foreigners, right, involved, if you have none of that going on, you know, there could be a very interesting spiritual message that you may receive. You may receive it in your sleep, you may receive it while you're resting or meditating, which will be much easier after June 3rd. In case if you're wondering, you are going to receive a certain spiritual message that is about your future, because it's Uranus, it's progressive, it is about future, and you need to hold on to that message. You need to pay attention to all the signs that you're receiving around this time, because it could be very significant and positive, by the way. On June 14th, we've got full moon in Sagittarius in your 7th house, and it's squaring Neptune in your 10th house. That's a pretty big one for you. This one is talking about something completing between you and someone else, and it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It can be someone that you maybe are working with, someone that you have some kind of a business deal with, business pursuit. It's someone that is just like a colleague or friend. But there is almost seemingly rose-colored glasses falling down, and you realize kind of what you have expected from this person all along, and what they actually turned out to be. This can be a disagreement with someone that, you know, it's like you are solving an issue, but through a disagreement with someone. With the square to Neptune in the 10th, you know, if it's connected to your career, to your profession, you could feel like you allowed maybe not enough boundaries with this person, and now they're getting in your personal space, you know, and they are connected to you professionally. So you're gonna cut that out of your life. You're not gonna need this kind of partnership. What it could also be is that maybe your romantic your romantic partner, there is some kind of a next step in the partnership, okay? There is a new status, there is a status change, but it comes to you in a very vague way. You understand that there is still something missing, that there is still something that's almost like invisible, and you almost have a hard time moving on, right? Have a hard time taking this, completing something, moving to the next step, because there is some kind of information missing here. But the 2 weeks after the full moon will give you all the clarity that you need. And yes, sometimes it can come with an element of disappointment, you know, because it is Neptune, but at the same time you will be able to complete a certain contract, a certain financial deal, a partnership, a certain step in the partnership around this time. It's just important, you know, it's very important, and it's not just connected to you, it's connected also to someone else. On June 16th, North Node will conjunct Venus in your 12th house. And here, I believe it adds some sort of reassurance that you are on the right track where your North Node is transiting. And here, you know, North Node has a little bit of that chaotic Uranus energy. And it is about this new environment, new territory that we're exploring, and we're learning kind of from scratch how to go about it, how to go around it, how to maneuver it. And in the 12th house, you know, maybe you're usually very analytical, very straightforward, very logical and knowledgeable, but here you have these spiritual messages coming through. You're starting to feel like, you know, maybe there is a little bit more to life than what I used to believe in and stuff. And also Saturn retrograde in the 9th house will also help with that. It's going to restructure your views on life. But you may realize with the North Node in the 12th that yes, it's okay to allow room for spirituality in my life. You know, Venus is smoothing out the edges there. Like, it's okay to believe in this. You know, I'm not crazy for believing in this, and it's okay to, let's say, have my day job at the office, but then come home and meditate and, I don't know, do Reiki, or I don't know, I'm just giving you examples, right? Or have an altar at home. Like, it's okay, you know, and you're bringing more spirituality into your life, or maybe you're traveling, you could be traveling abroad or maybe moving abroad, but this transit is simply going to be reassurance that you are on the right track, you're doing good, you're doing great, you are doing what you're supposed to. Okay, so that's basically it. And did I say it's gonna happen on June 16th? Yes. And on June 28th, the last event, new moon in Cancer in your 2nd house, squaring Jupiter in your 11th house. So this is where there may be kind of a similar situation to Taurus. Something financial is coming up. It's a new endeavor, new financial endeavor. It is some kind of a payout coming to you, but it may not quite be satisfying. It may not quite be enough. It may not quite be what you have expected. And I've told the other signs, and I'm telling you this as well, I'm not trying to say that you should expect the worst with this new beginning. No, but you can't over-exaggerate. You cannot expect the best, the best, the best, because when we expect perfect and we just get regular, you know, we kind of get disappointed. It's like, but I wanted this and they got me this, but there was nothing really wrong with this. It's just that you exaggerated it, you know, you expected something else. So this is the theme here, and it's about finances. You know, it's about finances somehow maybe coming from the community, coming from the bonus. For example, you've been expecting a bonus from work, you've been expecting a promotion from work, and then once you get that promotion, you realize that it really isn't much of a difference, or at least not as significant as you wished for it to be. It's still a new beginning though. It still is. So that's good for those that have had a very stagnant situation. You know, you will have that new beginning and things are going to be progressing, but it may not be quite as perfect as we could imagine, because I forgot to mention that it's also in conjunction with Lilith, and Lilith can be a little bit of a trickster here. So Yeah, just don't expect something fairy tale like. Just be realistic and you will not be disappointed with the result. Thank you so much for watching, Gemini. Now we're moving on to Cancer. Hi, Cancer. So for you, June 3rd is the first event, Mercury going direct in your 11th house. That's good news, right? So maybe you may have had some miscommunications with your community, misunderstandings in your community. You may have felt like there's always something happening, you know, there's always some kind of misunderstanding, there are mistakes there. It's like you are speaking different language with your community. Now, you know, things are going to start going direct, things are going to be more clear, there will be no more misunderstandings, or at least less misunderstandings. There's also maybe a certain benefit that you've been expecting from the government or from your job, and it was delayed with Mercury retrograde, or maybe you had to work twice as hard to get that benefit, and now you are going to receive it. You know, it's a nice thing to finally happen. You know, there are no more delays, you are getting your benefit, you are getting your payout, your reward, right? It's finally time to receive it. On June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 8th house until October 23rd. So I will say this. Saturn in the 8th house is already kind of interesting placement. You know, I feel like this time around you're really forced, whether you want it or not, but you're forced to deal with the crisis, with the darkest times in your life, with the darkest situations in your life. You're supposed to be working through them psychologically. You're supposed to be working through all the traumas. And maybe, you know, things were going relatively okay, and you have made progress, right, in the not critical situations in your life, but maybe in the difficult situations in your life. Maybe you were able to solve them. But now Saturn going retrograde in the 8th house can tell you that, well, there are still some things that you need to heal, there are still some things that you need to work on, and you have time until October 23rd to complete those things. So then once Saturn goes direct again, you're healed. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, it's a difficult one. In the 8th house, it's a difficult one. And you know, I feel like, for example, for those that are, let's say, getting divorced right now and trying to split, you know, the assets and the financials, right, something that used to connect them to their partner, this is difficult, right, because there may be more delays added with Saturn there, you know, more things to look through, more things to reevaluate. Maybe for someone that is trying to no longer depend on the other person, or is trying to have the other person not depend on them any longer, there could be some delays, there could be some misunderstandings there. It's just all about hard work and perseverance here, you know, to get to where you need to be, to solve this crisis, to take care of your health finally, you know, to figure out the financials, to split your financials, your assets, and so on. So this is what you might be working on until October 23rd. The third event, June 11th, Uranus is going to conjunct Venus in your 11th house. That's a nice one for you. And overall, I think it's a nice one because there can be an unexpected connection that comes around in your community. And it can be any kind of community. You go to the gym, you do classes 3 times a week, that's your community. You are like a dog person, you are on some kind of a dog Facebook dog group, your community. You know, you can have many different interests and you can have those communities. So there can be an unexpected contact, an unexpected connection, like a new acquaintance coming up here, and they could be somehow very helpful, very beneficial for you. I'm not saying, oh, take advantage. No, it's just that this person is going to shine bright in your life, and they're going to be possibly, they're not a mentor though, they are on the same level with you, but they also have the same goals as you, and they can help you achieve them in some way. There is the element of surprise, there's the element of very modern, progressive type of personality that's coming your way, and this could turn into a romantic connection as well if you're single and looking, because this conjunction is opposing your 5th house of romance. Okay, and it could also, by the way, it could bring pregnancy, unexpected pregnancy, because of this, its opposition to the 5th house, but also a pretty nice unexpected bonus from work. You didn't expect it, you got it. You know, it's just like a bonus, a reward. You could win a lottery maybe as well, but it's unexpected. Okay, so if you're imagining something right now, well, maybe my job will pay me this, it's probably not going to be that, but it's going to be something. And I think it's, yeah, I think it's nice. June 14th, full moon is happening in Sagittarius in your 6th house, and it will square Neptune in your 9th house. If you are in a legal case right now, there may be things ending, maybe a certain step ending, but in order to end it, you may have to bring more energy, bring more documents possibly. And also there could be an interesting new development, you know, because Neptune forces you to drop the rose-colored glasses finally, you know, when it squares something important. So it's like, oh, okay, I see. So I didn't know this before, you know, thank you for letting me know that it's not as easy as I thought it would be, or I didn't know this person would bring me this kind of surprise. So, you know, there is an element of dealing with some kind of a duty, some kind of responsibility, and finishing it up, thankfully. But it's also about seeing the reality clearly and realizing that maybe something that you used to believe in is not actually it. It's not the truth. And especially if it's connected to legal cases, you know, especially if you have an opponent in that case. And it could be that you may be asked for a document, for another document, because the 6th house can talk about documents, preparing, you know, kind of organizing. But this could also be related to work. You know, there may be some work responsibilities, some duties coming to an end, and then maybe you getting a new load of responsibilities and duties, and you realize that that's kind of not my future, you know, that's not how I'm seeing my world in the future, 9th house. So this could maybe be something that will encourage you to change something in your work environment. On June 16th, North Node is going to conjunct Venus in your 11th house. And, you know, North Node has a similar energy to Uranus. It's kind of chaotic, it's progressive, it's something new, it's a new territory that we're exploring, that we are kind of learning how to maneuver, how to get around, move around, or, yeah, I guess that's the word I was trying to use. But with Venus being here, Venus smoothes out the edges. And Venus tells us that, hey, you are doing well. You are doing a good job here. Maybe you've been stepping out of your comfort zone and entering these new communities of people that you want to interact with, that you want to collaborate with, that you want to potentially, you know, network with, or maybe these are just communities for fun, like you just want new friends. And maybe, you know, this is a new territory to you. You feel kind of uncomfortable in the new community, with this new group of people, possibly because they have that nature of something that you've never done before. It's the kind of community that you've never been a part of before, right? And Venus is telling you that you are on the right track, that you are doing a good job, you know, doing that, trying this new role in your life, trying this new environment. You know, you're doing great. And when it comes down to bonuses, for example, some kind of reward, some kind of gains, you know, you could actually receive something with this transit, and that is a confirmation that, hey, keep working hard towards your rewards, towards your, you know, rewards of your labor, right? How do you say that? I guess I've been talking for too long at this point, even though I usually talk for way longer and start messing up my words. But yes, Mercury retrograde, of course. But yeah, so you could receive some kind of a reassurance, confirmation that you are doing good in this new unfamiliar environment. And the last event on June 28th, new moon is happening in your first house, and it's squaring Jupiter in your 10th house, and it's actually conjuncting Lilith. So I will say this, you're trying all these different roles, okay, and I believe that this is gonna be a new beginning that is entirely up to you how to present yourself. You've got Lilith in your first house, which makes you maybe sometimes doubt yourself and makes you fear connections with others. It makes you fear that, you know, you're making the wrong steps, and that maybe you can be easily deceived by other people potentially, right? But you could also have that element of maybe unintentionally deceiving others in certain way. But here you're having a new beginning that is connected to your partnerships, to your connections, to your friendships, to your romantic relationships. You are able to show yourself to the world. But what it could be is that you may over-exaggerate your abilities. So try not to be too harsh on yourself, and try not to do too many things at once to come off a certain way, okay, to the public. Because it can be an element of disappointment that, oh my god, I thought I could do this and I did this instead. But you know, when we imagine something amazing, something perfect, and then we just get regular, you know, a regular result, we start getting disappointed about it. But it's actually not the result that's bad, it's our mindset about it, right? It's how we imagine it before it happens. So there can be a certain development that is going to be happening between you and someone else, and you can expect maybe some kind of a fairy tale, but in reality it's just going to be very straightforward, it's going to be very simple, and it's going to take some time to develop. And please try not to deceive yourself, okay? With Lilith being there, try not to trick yourself into anything. And Jupiter in the 10th house, you know, tells you that yes, you will receive some beautiful rewards and some beautiful career developments or status developments, right? But you need to kind of take it slow, take it easy, do not overdo it, do not exaggerate, do not take on too much, you know, just go with the flow, be natural. So that's what I have for you, dear Cancer. Thank you so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Leo. Hi, Leo. So for you, you've got Mercury going direct in your 10th house on June 3rd. That's a pretty big event, of course. There could be maybe some misunderstandings at your workplace with authorities, with the mother or father, actually. I'm still debating, you know, about the 10th house, which parent it rules, but I would say, you know, an authoritative figure in your life, whoever they may be, right? A parent, or maybe a boss, or government even, you know, there could be some miscommunications there. There could be some documents that you needed to bring. There could be some authorities that had to ask you out for an interview or get something from you. You had to prove yourself, you had to defend yourself. But now it's all calming down, you know, things are moving not necessarily slowly but surely, but they're just moving in the right direction. No more misunderstandings, no more miscommunications, no more mistakes in the paperwork, right? Things are becoming more peaceful, more natural at your workplace, and even with your status. For example, it's not connected to work, it's just connected to your status. Maybe there were some delays there, and now, you know, with Mercury going direct in your 10th house, you're going to see progress with your documents connected to your status and so on, and maybe it is the time to change your status. On June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 7th house, so until October 23rd. So here, with Saturn going retrograde in the 7th house, it's already kind of hard enough, you know, to figure out who should be in your life, who shouldn't be. You may be securing some partnerships while getting rid of others. It could have been kind of like a two-way process, right? And securing the connections that are truly important, that are very supportive in your life, but also getting rid of the ones that are not. And Saturn going retrograde is going to potentially bring up some, especially professional partnerships, into your life. And I actually see this as, believe it or not, being somewhat positive, because I think that certain offers, certain connections that you may have said no to from the past could come up now with a new offer, could come up now with some kind of a new ideas, with new opportunities to connect with you. And I would say maybe consider them now. You know, you have time until October 23rd to consider those connections. But also, Saturn being retrograded wants you to reevaluate who you actually want to see next to you. It wants you to go back to certain contracts, redo them, you know, maybe get more paperwork in order. You know, there is some work that has to be done with Saturn retrograde, and you will be busy with it. But I think that once it goes direct, you will come out of this transit feeling very confident with who you have by your side and with the new contracts. If there are contracts that are currently on hold, and because of Saturn going retrograde, they could be on hold or being fixed, then after October 23rd, I know it's a long time, but it is what it is, you know, they could come to fruition, which is a good thing about this transit. On June 11th, Uranus is going to conjunct Venus in your 10th house. So I think that some unexpected positive developments could happen at your job or with your status. For example, you may be expected to go through 2 or 3 steps to get to where you want to be, but now it's going to be direct, you know, it's going to be a jump. Maybe, I don't know, there will be a promotion opening, right, for the position that you've been wanting, but maybe you thought that, well, I would have to work harder and longer to get this, but now the opportunity is there and you apply and you get it, you know, and you get the job or you get a certain position. Or maybe there is some kind of a financial surprise coming from your job, like a bonus of some kind. I do believe that it's going to be some nice unexpected energy. And of course, with Uranus, you know, sometimes we're like, well, maybe it's this. Probably not. It's something else. You know, it's something else, but it is connected to your status or your job. And it could actually be some surprising developments happening in your family member's life as well. And you'll be a witness of that. On June 14th, full moon is happening in Sagittarius in your 5th house, and it's squaring Neptune in your 8th house. There is clarity coming regarding a certain relationship. This relationship is romantic in nature, okay? And there could be some understanding what to do next. However, with the square to Neptune in the 8th house, there seems to be some kind of a secret that maybe will come around. You know, something will be expressed, explored, known to you, that you will be like, oh, I've had rose-colored glasses this whole time. Now, I'm not trying to tell you the worst, that, oh, it's probably someone deceiving you there, you know, in a romantic partner. But I would say that you will be able to move on to the next step, knowing the true situation now, because you've been lacking certain details and now you're going to receive those details. And it could be maybe, you know, sometimes it could be something psychological too. It's like you're going to have a realization, like a psychological realization, rather than like physical, like something is happening in front of you, if that makes sense. It's like something could click. You know, it's like, okay, I probably want to do this instead of this. But it could also be a secret coming out as well. If you have some kind of a connection right now to someone, and it's not quite, like, this connection isn't quite a partnership yet. It's not quite 7th house, right? It's 5th house. If you are considering whether or not to make this person your partner, well, there could be some things ending there, transforming there, and so on. So that way you can move on to the next step. We're going to make a separate video about this. But another thing I wanted to mention something is possibly ending regarding your children's life or your business, okay, your own business. And again, it comes with some kind of clarity. You're gonna potentially receive some news, and it's like, oh, it's almost like I've been asleep this whole time. Why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I understand this before? You know, and yeah, so if it's regarding business, there are some financial clarity that may come around on the structure, financial structure of the business. So that's that. On June 16th, North Node is conjuncting Venus in your 10th house. And here, you know, North Node has the similar energy to Uranus, where it's a little chaotic, where it's progressive, and it's unfamiliar territory. You're going to receive that confirmation, that reassurance that you are on the right track, whatever you may be involved in, career change, right? Because there seems to be this element of, well, you know, I'm trying something totally new here. I have to defend myself. I have to push myself. I have to like prove myself, you know. So this energy is just going to kind of support you, you know, and be like, you keep going. You're doing a great job. So something could happen there, you know, that is going to be assuring that, okay, I think I'm doing well, you know, I think I'm being recognized for my efforts. And June 28th, new moon in Cancer, in your 12th house, squaring Jupiter in your 9th. I feel like it is kind of a spiritual battle that is happening in your own mind, in your own life, right? And maybe it's something that is not even seen to others, something that others don't even realize about you. Well, first of all, new moon is going to conjunct Lilith. And Lilith can be kind of a trickster here. It can deceive. It can make things look very unclear. And with Jupiter square to Jupiter, well, Jupiter is very benefic. On the other hand, you know, exaggeration is what can come up. It's like we imagine this fairy tale, and then when we get just a plain result, like a normal result, you know, not a fairy tale, we think it's bad. But that's not because the result is bad. It's because our perception of it, like what we were imagining is, you know, too much, too exaggerated. So with this new moon in Cancer, there will be some kind of a new beginning when it comes to your belief system, your spirituality, your spiritual patterns. Like there may be some kind of a new way of thinking, new way of living even. Maybe you're going to create some kind of a holistic approach to your health, some kind of an untraditional medicine that you may try. But I feel like you may exaggerate the result of this practice or of this, you know, untraditional medicine or, you know, this practice, spiritual practice. You may think that it's going to bring you a manifestation really quick, or it's going to heal a certain body part, or, you know, something really quick. But in reality, it's just going to be a subtle result. And, you know, I don't know exactly what kind of result you're going to receive or what kind of result you're imagining. But here, I wouldn't say expect the worst, right, from Lilith and a square to Jupiter. I would say expect realistic results, because that's what you're going to get. And the tendency to exaggerate and to be disappointed in the result can come with a square to Jupiter. So that's all I'm going to say here. And of course, we're going to make separate videos on the lunations as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Virgo. Hi Virgo, for you, your ruler Mercury is going direct in your 9th house on June 3rd. So this is where any kind of legal documents, anything that you may have had going on, are no longer delayed. This is when you're getting your green light to apply for any kind of legal cases, to buy your tickets and to go and travel where you need to travel, to maybe also, you know, go back to education. It's like maybe with Mercury retrograde, you were preparing resources, money, right? Preparing some kind of books, I don't know, something here, you know, for education. And now after June 3rd, you're able to go and study something. You're able to go to school. This could also be maybe you preparing for an exam. And now in the ninth house, you're going to able to pass that exam, or you've been studying for it, preparing for it. Now you can, now you can actually go with it. On June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 6th house until October 23rd. Well, Saturn is going to have its own business there, which isn't necessarily going to be the easiest, but what we need, because Uranus is going to be involved again, but what we need to know about June is that Saturn going retrograde in the 6th house can make you go back to your responsibilities, to your duties that you have had for like a good year or so, and try and figure out whether or not this is something that you want to take into your future after October 23rd. There seems to be this change in your schedule, right? It's like you're trying to restructure it so it works better for you. You're trying to restructure it so that it somehow benefits your future. And it cannot be always easy with Saturn there, because Saturn tends to delay things. Saturn tends to make you work really hard, and your health can suffer because you are always you're always on the go, you're always doing something, you are a very busy person. There isn't really much fun, but not much free time, right? But Saturn retrograde here, it's like we're going to restructure this, we're going to take care of you, so you are entering the future with a different routine, maybe with a different job, with a different kind of professional opportunities, right? Because it's all done for your betterment. It's all done to make things easier for you in the long run. But you may be kind of struggling with, some things at first. And this is gonna be your main theme of Saturn in the 6th house, completely restructuring your routine, possibly considering a different job avenue, possibly considering maybe a different approach to your health as well. And there could be a chronic health situation that may come up, and this transit will allow you to take care of it, okay, as long as it's chronic and it's coming back. That could be a thing. On June 11th, Uranus will conjunct Venus in your 9th house in Taurus. So there could be a piece of news, a financial gift, or a romantic situation coming from a different country, coming from afar. There could be, for example, you have friends abroad, they could send you something nice, or they could invite you, send you an invitation, or they could, possibly travel to see you, and very unexpectedly, right? Because Uranus has the element of surprise. If you don't have anybody abroad or anybody foreign, then this can mean that maybe there will be some interesting news coming regarding certain documents, like a set of documents, maybe a certain educational pursuit. So for example, there could be some excitement coming in that area. I don't know, for example, you didn't think that you would pass an exam, and here you go, you passed it. There could maybe be an opportunity to go to school. It's like the door was closed this whole time, and now it's actually open, and you find money for it, and it's all very convenient and very surprising, but yet you have to take this chance. And Venus and Uranus in the 9th house can also bring up certain new beliefs. They are progressive, and yet, they are still connected to something that we've all possibly been caring about for generations. So I'm not gonna say that this is something totally new that you're going to believe in. It may have been familiar to some extent, but you never actually tried it for yourself. It can be something that maybe you're going to really look at from a different angle and be like, yeah, this is something that has been a part of my life. I just never really knew the name to it, or I never really noticed it before, but now I know. For example, universe was always on my side, and my manifestation always worked, and my vision boards actually were always coming to fruition. I don't know, I'm just giving you examples, right? So maybe I should be more attentive to this side of life, to this side of this world. You know, maybe I should allow spirituality into my life at least a little bit, at least sometimes, right? So this could be it as well, but there's like a pleasant message, pleasant surprise. If it is a spiritual message, watch out for it. It's gonna come to you in a very unexpected way, through something that you would never even imagine, okay? But wait for it, because it could be very good for you, very positive. On June 14th, there is a full moon in Sagittarius in your 4th house, and it's squaring Neptune in your 7th house. Well. Here, this one is like rose-colored glasses are dropping on the ground, and we're seeing the reality clearly. And I believe that in the 4th house, there's some kind of a home project that is coming to fruition. You're finally moving, for example, or maybe you are buying a place, selling a place, but maybe it doesn't quite work well with your partner, right? With your husband or wife. There may be something that they can tell you, you know, that is very... it's like, why didn't you tell me this before? You know, why do I just now find out about this? You know, Neptune is fog, and then eventually the fog kind of disappears, and we're like, oh, I see now. That's the reality of the situation. Okay. But it's not just a romantic partner. You know, if you've got a contract going on with someone regarding a property, for example, tenants, landlord, or maybe you are working with a real estate agent, or maybe you're in the process of buying a home, maybe you're dealing with a lender, but there is someone there that's like doing a contract with you, okay? There can be finally something completing, which is exciting, but at the same time, through this weird fog with this person, it's like, you know, the price may be a little different, like the payment may be a little different, there may be something odd in the contract that, you know, you didn't think would be, and so on. So it's a completion, you know, which is good, but it comes with a twist. It's like, it's not that easy to complete, you know what I mean? Because here comes the clarity, you have to look it in the eyes. And that is the energy of the full moon, but I'm gonna make a separate video on that. Now, on June 16th, North Node will conjunct Venus in your 9th house. So coming back to belief systems, well, first of all, you know, North Node, it is similar to Uranus energy. It's chaotic in a way. It is also unfamiliar territory that we are exploring this year, right? And we kind of don't know how to navigate it because it's something new to us, but we're drawn to it as well. So here you may be experimenting with spirituality, with some kind of a new set of beliefs. It doesn't have to be necessarily religious or spiritual. It can be political, right? It can be anything. But if you've been, for example, uncovering some new paths, some new religions, some new views on life, and you're realizing that they're making you feel better about yourself, about the future, about your purpose in life, Venus is going to smooth out the edges of the North Node energy, because, you know, North Node is pretty edgy. It's going to tell you that it's okay, you are on the right track, and you are doing very good. If there is, for example, a legal matter that you are about to go through, it's almost like this reassurance, you know, this confirmation that you are on the right track, and it will be given to you some way. You know, you will find out that it's like it will be known to you somehow through a certain situation or message or communication with someone that you are on the right track around June 16th, regarding no matter what you're doing, whether it's your beliefs shifting and you're starting to like this new belief system that you have, or maybe a legal case shifting, right? Or maybe your travel plans, maybe you're allowing more cultures into your life, and you know, there could be maybe some almost like transition that you're going through. Maybe you're moving abroad, right? Maybe you're marrying a foreigner. I don't know. But there's this confirmation that you're doing well and you're on the right track. June 28th, we've got new moon in Cancer, square in your 11th house, squaring Jupiter in your 8th house. So with this one, it's also conjunct Lilith. And I feel like it can deceive, it can make you feel overly optimistic when in reality you're just getting a regular result. In the 11th house, you know, you could be receiving a certain reward, a certain bonus, gain, you know, the reward, the reaping what you sowed this whole time. And you know, you may be expecting a fairy tale, you may be expecting something huge and crazy and, you know, bright, and with Jupiter square, but and with Lilith. You know, a Lilith can even add some people there that are like, oh yeah, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, you know, just hyping it up. But when you receive a result, it's just going to be a regular result. And it's something to just be prepared for, meaning that we shouldn't prepare for the worst with this transit. We should just prepare for the realistic result, because the higher we imagine this, the crazier we imagine, the more we hype it up, the more disappointed we can be when we receive something that is not quite what we imagined, right? So there is some kind of a bonus coming up, maybe a reward, a payout, and you may be expected more. Maybe you expected better. Maybe you expected something completely different, but here it is. There could also, by the way, be a weird situation with one of your friends where there will just be a new pattern in that relationship now, and it can even be a relationship can continue with a friend, but it will have some sort of a crack there. It's like you will always remember that there is something that you imagined about this person and they didn't quite deliver that. You know, it's like they are the Lilith here, like they have kind of deceived you in some way, and it doesn't mean that the relationship is going to be over. It's just this new information that's going to come around about this friend, and you are going to just, you know, possibly continue the friendship and or stay in the same community if it's not a friend, if it's the community, right? But you will be maybe more cautious about them. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Libra. Now, for you guys, June 3rd, Mercury is going direct in your 8th house. That's good news. That means that anything that has been delaying your loans, your mortgages, your car loans, anything that is connected to banks and overall just like other people. Maybe there were some wires, like the bank wires that were on hold, you know, that were pending, and you really needed to get some money to someone, or you needed to get the money from someone. Now finally this is all resolving, no longer pending, no longer on hold. Things are going to start moving forward now. Possibly you will be able to pay something off, or maybe to receive a certain contract, or to receive the you know, the loan that you need, and so on. So that is good. Now on June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 5th house. Here, for those of you that have been wanting to get pregnant, that have been wanting to conceive this whole time, Saturn going retrograde can actually give you kind of like those missed opportunities. Let's just put it that way. Missed opportunities, missed, yeah, that missed time. You know, you can get it back now. If that's something that you are desiring. But sometimes, you know, Saturn in the 5th can also bring many obligations and responsibilities, especially when they're connected to children, right? 5th house. So this is where maybe, you know, this conception can come with lots of obligations, lots of responsibilities, and this is something to kind of go through and structure until October 23rd, until Saturn goes direct. There is also this idea of maybe your own business or a hobby that's turning into business, and with Saturn retrograde it could be like, okay, let's go dig in it, you know, let's go make it good, let's go make it useful, make it operable, you know, let's go take care of the financial system, let's you know, let's make sure that it's all legal and you know, working and functional. But also, you know, when we talk about Saturn in the 5th house, there can just simply be so much that's going on that you have a hard time relaxing, that you have a hard time, you know, having a free time, having time to enjoy yourself with friends or with just romantic partners. And I feel like with Saturn retrograde, there may actually be, well, first of all, a potential romantic partner coming back, but it's more like a love interest, a potential partner rather than an actual ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, and so on. They could be coming back, but it could also be just the time where maybe you may put away some of your responsibilities, some of your duties, and actually be able to relax a little bit more. I'm seeing a little bit more of a positive energy with Saturn in the 5th here. On June 11th, Uranus is going to conjunct Venus in your 8th house in Taurus. And this is where there can be an unexpected tax return that may come your way. An unexpected, like maybe you thought, oh, there is no way they owe me tax, and here they are. And then tax return. And then, you know, there could, for example, be a bank paying you, like there can be one of those, what are they called, like settlements, you know, they could surprise you with a payment. There could maybe be a surprise. For example, you know, you've been trying to apply for all these loans, for example, a car loan, you know, and maybe you've been denied before. Now, somehow, you know, surprisingly, things are going to go in your favor and you may actually be able to purchase something. This could also create a shift in your clientele, like in your relationship with clients. There could be more clients, there could be like an outburst of clients, you know, with Uranus energy can multiply different things, and it can multiply money coming from clients all of a sudden, right, with Venus being there. But overall, I think it's decent. Watch out though for any kind of nervous tension, because it can take a toll on your physical health. If you are too nervous, too anxious around this time, try and maybe soothe yourself somehow, you know, try to rest a little bit more. But overall, I think it's an okay transit. The next event on June 14th, there will be a full moon in Sagittarius in your 3rd house, squaring Neptune in your 6th house. We'll make a separate video on that, but we've got something completing, potentially a course that you are completing, or maybe some kind of an educational pursuit that you are completing. Maybe you are ending a certain semester, a certain part of your education, and moving on to the next step. However, with a square to Neptune in your 6th house, it is somehow disturbing your routine, what you're used to. And Neptune is also rose-colored glasses, right? And when they fall off with the square, it's like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. I understand that this is the step that's crucial. It needs to end and a new one needs to begin, but I'm not quite seeing the reality clearly. I don't like this. Or I'm seeing the reality clearly and I'm not sure if I like it, right? So it seems like it's disturbing in some way, that set of, that schedule, that just like life circumstances that you may have going on right now, and you may feel uneasy about it. However, it is a full moon and things are going to transition, things are going to change, and it's just something that we have to kind of go along with. Neptune can bring, you know, that reality in front of us. We have to face the reality, we have to look it in the eyes. And it could be that, you know, for example, there is maybe an educational situation here. Maybe one part of education is ending, a new one is beginning, or you know, you're finally just ending a certain course and stuff, and yet, you know, there is some kind of a bump there with Neptune regarding, oh, but now I have to do an internship, and it's completely different according to, you know, the schedule that I have now. What am I supposed to, why didn't they tell me this before? But you may have missed it with Neptune being in the 6th, right? Or maybe it is about a certain set of documents that you are finally completing, so you're able to file for something that you need now. But then, you know, there is something else that's coming up with Neptune. It's like, why didn't I see this before? Why did I have this perfect set of documents? And now you're surprising me with this one last document that I have to bring. You know, there is still something ending, but with the energy of like seeing this clarity, this new truth, and maybe not liking it so much at first. Yeah, so on June 16th, North Node is going to conjunct Venus in your 8th house. So North Node has the similar energy to Uranus, right? It's progressive, it is unfamiliar territory where we are exploring and learning how to navigate these new circumstances, these new territories. And with the 8th house here, maybe you are learning how to share. You're learning how to share with the partner, how to share with someone that you are engaging with all the time. You are learning the dependence, right, on someone, but in a healthy way. And with Venus being here, it's telling you that, you know, you're on the right track. For example, maybe you are exploring an intimate relationship with someone, and it's still with North Node, it's unfamiliar territory. It's not that comfy. It's not that something that we're used to. And here, you know, while you are exploring that, Venus can smooth out the edges and be like, you are on the right track, you're doing well, and this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. You're supposed to be maybe getting more open, right, with your partner, or maybe intimate, or maybe you are supposed to accept I don't know, that you should share with your partner, right? Whatever that is that you're sharing, resources or intimacy or anything like that. And on June 28th, there is a new moon in Cancer in your 10th house, squaring Jupiter in the 7th house, and it's actually conjunct Lilith as well. So there's a new development in your career, with your status possibly, and it's like you're in the public eye in some way, and there are some, like I said, new developments happening there. But with the square to Jupiter in the 7th house, you know what's interesting? There seems to be maybe an exaggeration with what exactly is expected from you around this time. And it can be your romantic partner expecting something from you, or maybe just other people, maybe colleagues or something like that. And you have to defend yourself here. You have to show yourself. But the tricky part is that with the square to Jupiter, we're maybe imagining something like a fairy tale, but getting a regular result in the end. And when we get a regular result, after hyping it up like a fairy tale, we can get disappointed. And it's not because the result is bad, but it's because we have imagined something different, something that's better or bigger, whatever that might be. So I feel like there are some developments at your job, and there's a lot of expectation here. But it may not quite be as big as you're imagining. You know, maybe the promotion isn't going to be as major. Maybe you may not quite get to the position where you want to be yet. You know, maybe the wage is not quite as high as you would imagine. But there is also some kind of conflict here happening with others, between you and others. It's like, you know, they want something from you, you want something from them, and it's all exaggerated. It's not quite realistic to achieve all of that right now. And yet there are new developments happening. It's just that they need to develop more, you know, because if you imagine something crazy here and you're not quite getting it, there is the element of disappointment because you thought you could, but you didn't. And I'm not trying to say that we should expect the worst with this lunation. It's just that we should expect very realistic results. You know, if there is a change at your job, this doesn't mean that it's going to be super perfect like in a movie yet, right? It's just starting to develop, and there should be patience here and realism connected to it. And of course, you know, if there are people in your circle that are like pushing you to do all these crazy things, to prove yourself, to I don't know, prove something to them. You really don't have to do that, you know. There can just be a conflict, you know, conflict between you and others, how you view what you need to be doing, how they view it, disagreements with a romantic partner, you know, their expectations of you and your expectations of yourself, or them too. So yeah, that's what I have for you, dear Libra. I hope that this was helpful, and now we're moving on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio, hope you're doing well. Now we have Mercury going direct on June 3rd in your 7th house. That's a big one. You know, if you've had any kind of miscommunications, misunderstandings, mistakes in contracts, delays in contracts, with you know, colleagues, with any kind of companies, lenders, you know, romantic partners, maybe some disagreements there. Now things are going direct. There are no longer delays. There is nothing pending. The mistakes are fixed. The calls are answered. Now things are going to be going smoothly in that area, which is really nice. On June 5th, we have Saturn going retrograde in your 4th house. That's a big one. So Saturn being in your 4th house, it's having you work on your relationship with those that wait for you to come from work. At home, right? It's your family. It's the family that you may have created, or it's the family that is your immediate family, right? So there can be some things there, you know, like, for example, strengthening the relationship, and at the same time there can be some conflicts there as well. Same goes for property. You could be dealing with the real estate quite a lot with the transit of Saturn in your 4th house. And now it's going retrograde. So you've been trying to, for example, sell the property or purchase a property. There can unfortunately be a delay here until October 23rd because something needs to be reevaluated, something needs to be restructured. For example, your patio, I don't know, your patio is really bad looking, like, or maybe you need to replace the roof, or maybe you need to replace some floors or something like that before you sell it for the price that you wanted to sell for, you know. Or maybe you're trying to buy, but you know, there may be other responsibilities that may be coming up around this time. So it's like, or maybe you simply just can't find that perfect home. But why? Well, because Saturn wants you to really figure out what you want, you know, like it wants you to have a perfect plan in mind, so that way it will go smoothly when it actually is yours, when it actually is meant to happen. And of course, there may be some conflicts coming up between you and family members. Those conflicts are coming back, meaning that these most likely aren't new. These are the conflicts that you have had with them in the past. You could be discussing these same issues again, you know, you could be maybe arguing over the same things again, but it's all down to finally ground that relationship with your parents or with your loved ones, and to create a pattern that's healthy for all the people involved. So that is your Saturn retrograde transit. June 14th, there will be a full moon in Sagittarius in your 2nd house, squaring Neptune in your 5th house. Well, there may seem to be this ending, or I should say culmination, in regards to one of the sources of income that you have. There can actually be progress there. Like, for example, you know, you have had this certain financial structure, financial system for a while, and now you are upgrading. You know, that could be it. But maybe, for example, you were making money using a few different sources of income. Now you're removing one and keeping the other, for example, because it just makes more sense, right? However, there is a square to Neptune here, which talks about a little bit of, I want to say, disappointment. Rose-colored glasses kind of falling down, because there is something here connected to how we express ourselves, how we show ourselves, what makes us feel joy. It's like maybe we expected that this new source of income, or this change in the source of income, could bring us more free time, for example, so we can enjoy ourselves, so we can have just overall a better, easier time in our life. But it can be that it may not quite be the case yet, you know, because with Neptune here, it's like yeah, things are ending, things are transforming in this area of life. Yeah, sure. But, how about you look reality in the eyes? How about you see that, this isn't as simple. So there may be possibly hope that a certain financial situation can allow you to maybe have more room for something else, for maybe a hobby, for free time. But this may not be the case quite yet. Yes, something there is ending, but maybe a new pursuit is busier. So it still doesn't quite allow more free time just yet, okay? Neptune is not the worst. Yes, there is the energy of maybe self-deceit, rose-colored glass, or maybe being deceived by someone, right? But at the same time, I feel like it's just like, well, I imagined something else, but I just got a little bit less. That could be the case here. And it could also be maybe it could possibly be an expense for a child, and maybe you didn't know this before, and now it comes to you as almost like a surprise, that, oh, okay, so this is what I need to spend money on now. I didn't know this a week ago, but now I do, and now I have to find that money too, to be able to pay for this, for your child's needs, for example. So that's that. Now, on June 16th, we've got North Node conjunct Venus in your 7th house in Taurus. So this one is very nice because, North Node is similar energy to Uranus. It's progressive, it's kind of like modern, it's new, it's chaotic, it's something that we are really drawn to, but at the same time we're very unfamiliar with that territory. It's like we need to learn how to navigate it. We are totally new to this, and this is your 7th house this time, so you are supposed to somehow get used to maybe trusting a partnership, being connected to someone, being around certain people in a certain group possibly, or maybe working on a relationship, on one-on-one relationship with a specific person. And it could be almost like this unfamiliar territory. You may feel uneasy sometimes with this person, or, maybe dealing with certain problems as a team. For me, for example, I don't have Scorpio placements except Pluto in the 8th, but for me, like, I always was by myself. I've been in relationships in the past. I was always just kind of my own person. I always knew that any problem is coming up, the people that I was with would never help, would never actually be there, would never be a team with me, and only until now that I have a person like that, we go through all the stuff together, all the issues together, and it's almost like this unfamiliar territory to me. It's like you can be in a team with your romantic partner, with your boyfriend, a fiance, husband, wife, whoever, you can actually do things together, you can solve things together, they can back you up, they can support you, and they're not gonna like whine about it or anything, that's that experience almost, so with Venus being there, it's like reminding you that, hey, you're on the right track here with your relationships, the way you're building your relationships right now, the way you're connecting with people, the contracts that you're choosing, you're on the right track. So with Venus there, it's going to be kind of like that reassurance. It's going to be the confirmation that you are doing well and that you are on the right track. So I find that to be nice. Now the last event, June 28th. New moon, there's a new moon in Cancer in your 9th house, and it's squaring Jupiter in your 6th house, and it's actually also conjunct Lilith. And Lilith can be a little deceitful. So I feel like with this one, there is a new beginning happening in your 9th house. For example, an opportunity to travel, an opportunity to make progress in the legal case, an opportunity to go to school, to take on an educational pursuit. It's a new beginning, so that's a new chapter in your life. But it comes with exaggerations, expectations, and again, it's connected to your schedule somehow. We talked about fifth house earlier. That's the fun house, right? Sixth house is just your life, your routine. And Neptune and a square to Jupiter can work similarly in terms of disappointments when you're imagining, over-imagining, exaggerating something like a fairy tale, but getting just a regular result in the end. So what it can be here is that you may imagine some sort of a fairy tale when it comes to this pursuit of yours. I don't know, maybe, you know, there is some kind of a new spiritual practice that you want to try, and then you realize how it does not relate to your life right now at all. You know, it seems like, in fact, it's taking too much of your time and is just making your life chaotic in a way. I mean, I don't know how spiritual practice would, but I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, for example, school. You want to start attending school, but you have to somehow combine it with this schedule of yours, and you at first thought, oh, I can do it all in one day, you know, I can be at work for 8 hours and then I can do school online for 4 hours, and I can also walk my dog and take care of my kid. And then you're like, no, wait, there's no freaking way I can do this. You know, this is that Jupiter square, you know, over exaggeration and thinking that everything can happen perfectly, but then realizing that no, I'm only human, you know, and the result that I'm going to get is probably school maybe twice a week and not 4 times a week, right? Just an example here. So something here is a new endeavor, a positive endeavor for you. You're going to love it and the result is going to be good, but it will interfere with your schedule somehow. So you will have to make realistic, first of all, you're going to have realistic expectations about this and make your schedule work for you, so that way there are no disappointments, no cancellations, and so on. Sometimes, you know, with this pattern, there is like an energy of taking on more than you can. And I'm not saying that you should be prepared for the worst. No, absolutely not, because it's a nice one for you. But I think it's about being realistic here with anything that you are planning around, you know, the end of the month. But thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Sagittarius. Hi Sagittarius. So for you, on June 3rd, Mercury is going direct in your 6th house. So if you've had any issues, especially if you've had any kind of nervous tension, and you know, that nervous tension that can't let you rest, can let you sleep, you're having a hard time relaxing. You may have had maybe a little bit of anxiety here and there, you know, maybe again restless nights, restless sleep, just overall that nervous tension constantly. Well, you know, things are going to finally start subsiding here. You know, maybe those petty problems that kept you kind of on edge, they are also going to be dissipating. 6th house is also our responsibilities, our duties, and, you know, our work and work schedule as well. There could be some chaotic energy going on there, you know, colleagues making mistakes, or, you know, if there is, like, if you're the management, you know, people not understanding what you want from them. Maybe, you know, there could be some disruptances with your pets. Maybe there could be some misunderstandings, you know, when it comes to your treatment, like your hospital, your doctor, and so on. Some mistakes in the paperwork and stuff, applications and stuff like that. It's all gonna be fine now after June the 3rd. On June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 3rd house. And this one, you know, I feel like Saturn in the 3rd, it's been kind of hard maybe to obtain knowledge. Like it may be hard for you to possibly gather all of your energy and your schedule and all that free time to be able to pursue educational things, right? To gain more knowledge. However, when you do gain it, it stays, it sticks with you, because Saturn grounds everything, it secures, it stabilizes everything, including knowledge. And here, Saturn going retrograde, there can be an opportunity that may come back from the past regarding an educational pursuit. So it can be a course that may come back around. It may be a document that may come back around. Yeah. Maybe finally it's the time to fix the old car. and October 23rd, that's how long Saturn is going to be retrograde in your third house. And I feel like what's important to know here in June, at least, Saturn is going to be making its own transits, not so pleasant, connected to Uranus. But in June, what's important to know is that there is a attention that's being brought to ideas, connections, contacts, messages, opportunities, education, right? That is coming back from the past. So it's here again, and it's possibly the time to finally finish it, go for it, right? Fix it, and so on. So for example, there may be an important set of documents that you've been working on, and you will be working on it until October 23rd or so, and then once Saturn goes direct, you'll be able to submit those documents. June 11th, or receive a response, right? June 11th, Uranus is conjuncting Venus in your 6th house in Taurus. So I feel like there may be a surprise coming to you from work, and there could actually be some kind of a financial bonus that may come, and it's because of your efforts. It is because of how hard you've been working, how all the responsibilities that are put on you, you've been doing, you've been completing. You could receive some kind of a nice bonus there. On the other hand, how this can play out is that there can be an unexpected message, again, connected to jobs. There could be like a job opportunity coming, and it's unexpected. It is something that maybe you don't even know. Like, for example, I'm telling you right now, and you may think, maybe it's this. Probably not that. It's not something that we can quite pinpoint, but it's pleasant, because Venus, it smoothes out the edges, so that's nice. And also it can bring you something that is an opportunity, something that is possibly of a financial matter, right? And it's the element of surprise, but I do believe that it's a pleasant surprise. I think also when it comes to your health, now this one can be tricky, because it's still, Uranus after all. There may be a health concern that may come up, but also a solution will come around right away. It's like you will know what's wrong with you. That can be one of those things. But I feel like some kind of gigs, opportunities to make more money, jobs, bonuses can come around, a surprise invite for an interview, like a job interview, or any kind of interview really, and it's the element of surprise, but you're going for it because it is beneficial in some way. On June 14th, there will be a full moon in Sagittarius in your 1st house, and it's going to be squaring Neptune in the 4th house. There is something here, that a certain pattern, a certain belief that you are finally ready to say goodbye to. But your family may not. And, there sometimes seems to be this almost like, I don't want to say codependence, no, but there are people there that are at the bottom of the chart, meaning that they're hidden from everybody. They are those people that wait for you to come home from work. They're waiting for you at home, right? It's your family, and they may have some sort of expectations from you, and they may want you to do something for them, or possibly. All I can say is that they are expecting something from you, and it doesn't mean that you can quite deliver, or it doesn't mean that you will deliver it exactly the same way they are asking for it. However, there could also be possibly a decision, a culmination that you may have regarding one of the family members, because there will be something uncovered about a property or a family member. So once you know the truth, you're able to act accordingly. And Neptune can be rose-colored glasses, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's what you wanted me to do, or that's what you expected from me, or maybe, oh, this property, okay, I see why it's so cheap. So, you catch my drift. There can be something here ending, right? Which is great in case you've been working on it, especially for the last 6 months, and you've been needing to complete something. But it comes with a little bit of disappointment because, rose-colored glasses are gone, and you're seeing the reality clearly. You may be seeing the expectations of your family, and they disappoint you. You know, you may see maybe what the family, like what is a family member all about, or you may see the property, the true state of the property that you're trying to sell or buy. So yes, something like that could be here. On June 16th, North Node will conjunct Venus in the 6th house. And North Node has similar energy to Uranus. You know, it's very chaotic, it is progressive, and it's also an unfamiliar territory that we're exploring. It's new to us, we're trying to navigate it. And Venus also is going to smooth out the edges there, which is nice. And I believe this conjunction, while it's not the most important, I think it's pleasant because it's going to tell you that this unfamiliar territory, which is possibly maybe exploring these new job fields, right? Trying to figure out your purpose, trying to figure out what you want to do every day, how you want to better your life, your new lifestyle. You are doing well. You are on the right track. You know, I'm gonna say something like an example. For example, you decided to become vegan. I don't know. You decided to become vegan, and you decided to change your jobs. That's a lifestyle that maybe you've never had before because you've never been vegan and you worked in the same company for 10 years, the last 10 years, right? So it's an unfamiliar territory that you're exploring right now. But Venus is encouraging you, and it's reassuring you, and it's telling you, it's basically confirming that you are on the right track. And I think that that's that nice energy that you may experience around June 16th. The confirmation that you're doing well and you're doing what you're supposed to. On June 28th, there will be a new moon in Cancer in the 8th house, and it will square Jupiter in your 5th house. So this one is conjunct Lilith as well, so it's a tricky one, honestly. Yes, there is a new development, there is a new beginning in the 8th house, meaning that, for example, there will be a loan. Okay, there will be some kind of a payout, maybe from the government, there will be a tax return, but I feel like there will be maybe some work from clients, meaning that you will have to work with clients, and this is how you're going to gain something. There are definitely some new developments there, however, it's tricky. It is maybe something that you wanted but exaggerated in your mind. Maybe you expected it to be a little bit more cheery, a little bit more expensive, or like a higher amount, or maybe you expected for it to solve a certain situation with your business, this loan, right? But it may not quite be how you imagine it to be. Square to Jupiter can exaggerate, Lilith can deceive. You know, it's kind of like we're imagining a fairy tale, but we're getting just a real result. And it's not the result that's bad, right? It's our expectation that's too high. So this is something to be considered with this particular lunation. Yes, it's going to be a new beginning, and I think you will receive something through the 8th house. As some kind of a financial gain, possibly, that you maybe didn't have to work for. But it may not quite be the amount that you want, or maybe the way it comes to you, it will be kind of, you know, weird in some way. But thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Capricorn. Hey Capricorn, so for you, on June 3rd, Mercury is going direct in your 5th house. That's good news. That means that if you've been, for example, working on your own thing, like your own business, for example, right? There could be maybe some miscommunications, there could be some mistakes, there could be some misunderstandings between you and others while trying to launch this new thing, right? Or maybe, like new thing, I mean new business, new project, a creative project as well. Now that Mercury goes direct after June 3rd, things are going to go way smoother there. If you've had miscommunications with your children, for example, that could also be more smooth now. You know, and I wouldn't say that it's always like a smooth sailing having Mercury in the 5th house, right? But it's at least you being on the same page either with your children or maybe with someone that's helping you do a certain project and so on. And of course, for someone that's dating right now, this could be the energy of, you know, misunderstandings between you and these love interests, you know, romantic partners. It could be that maybe you don't feel like you're on the same page, you know, maybe the messages aren't very clear, you don't quite understand what they mean, you know, what these people mean. Do they want to pursue the relationship with you? Do they not? Again, Mercury going direct here helps you. It makes the communication clear between you and others. On June 5th, Saturn goes retrograde in your second house, and Saturn being your ruler, being retrograde, that's very powerful for you. That is kind of a time to go back and reevaluate your self-value. Yes, yeah, the way you value yourself. Of course, this is a transit that's going to end on around October 23rd. So that's plenty of time to reevaluate yourself and how you treat yourself and whether or not you respect yourself. But I feel like in this case, it's more about money. It's about sources of income. It's about restructuring a certain source of income. So once Saturn goes direct after October 23rd, you are able to use it to your advantage. You are able to secure something here that will be functional, that will bring benefit, that will bring money. Maybe, you know, it is working on a new source of income or working on the old source of income, but restructuring it in some way, fixing mistakes, making it, like I said, more functional. And of course, you know, sometimes with this kind of transit, it could be that maybe one of your sources of income may not quite work for you anymore, and you will have to go back and change something and maybe create a new source of income. That could be it as well. For everyone, it's going to be different, but the whole point here is to go back and to make things better, make things more useful for you, make things more functional for you, and make sure that it's something that stabilizes your income rather than makes it worse, reduces it, takes it away from you completely, and so on. And there can be some actually some messages coming through around this time, around this whole Saturn retrograde phase. For example, from old jobs, from old sources of income, you know, and it doesn't mean that you have to take them, but it's just going to be a significant time of things, people, connections coming back from the past, and it's usually work related due to nature of Saturn. So that's just something to consider. Now on June 11th, Uranus will conjunct Venus in the 5th house in Taurus, and that's a nice one. You know, if you are dating, if you are just not necessarily partnered yet, right? Because 5th house is not quite a partnership yet. It's just that romance, it's the vibe. There can be a message that comes around very unexpectedly from a love interest, from someone that maybe you did not expect to hear from, you know, and it can maybe be a very eccentric person, someone that is kind of progressive in their beliefs, you know, in their lifestyle, and they definitely have interest in you, and they're going to show it around this time. Now, what's interesting is that it can work the opposite way. You can be the one showing interest to someone here. You can be the one maybe trying to engage with someone, and it's almost like the kind of pattern that maybe you're not quite used to. You know, you're not quite used to showing yourself in this way, expressing yourself in this way, and here you are. But this may not just be self-expression with the romantic side of life, right? This can be, for example, you starting a creative project, launching a creative project where you may use different different ways of self-expression that are unique to you, that maybe you have not used in the past, and maybe it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, but here you are, you know, expressing yourself, because when if not now? And for Capricorn rising especially, you know, Uranus being for so long in the 5th house, that's definitely new ways of expressing yourself. That's something progressive, right? Something modern almost, something that you've never done before. And it could be that you enjoy wearing that hat, you know, you enjoy having that role. once in a while. And on another note, it could bring unexpected pregnancy. Just gonna say it, you know, Venus and Uranus, it's unexpected, it's surprises, you know, something that catches you off guard. You know, Venus does hold a pleasant, positive message here. And in the 5th house, you know, yes, it can be regarding children. So whether you are prepared or not, this can be a possibility, but it's not the most powerful transit, I would say, you know. So it may or may not, of course, happen, you know, if you're appropriate age for that and so on, but it's something to also keep in mind. June 14th, there will be a full moon in Sagittarius in your 12th house, and it will square Neptune in your 3rd house. So with the full moon in the 12th house, there's usually something ending that is psychologically difficult, and it is a house of endings anyway. So there will definitely be a culmination here. And it can be something that is difficult that's finally ending. It can be something like a crisis ending in your life. It could also be a connection to faraway places. For example, it can be a culmination of your immigration process as well. But it is in the square to Neptune, which makes it a little bit tricky. Neptune in the 3rd house here can pinpoint at a certain document that you still need to complete, that you need to create, that you need to find to actually be done with this process. And the good thing is, you know, full moon, it is an ending, so something will definitely end, meaning that you're capable of you know, finishing up this project. But the thing is that with Neptune in the 3rd, there is a little like the element of seeing the reality clearly, and it's not always something that we truly want. You know, it's not something that truly makes us happy, because Neptune tends to eventually show you the raw side of life, the reality, right? And we have to look the reality in the eyes at some point, and there are no more rose-colored glasses. And while I do not think that it's by any means like a super challenging full moon for you specifically, I do believe that this ending is gonna come with another annoying step. You know, like you will have to bring a document, you may have to get some kind of a certificate, no, but a paper, yeah, a document of some kind. There could also be a fear regarding a certain situation, maybe in your family, in your close circle, that is ending. You know, that fear could be ending. However, you may be presented with a conversation, you know, with someone like a sibling, a relative, someone in your close circle, that will open your eyes to this person or to the situation itself. It's like you're no longer necessarily going to be fearful of this or worried about this person, but you will kind of see the reality and what's truly happening behind the scenes, and it could cause disappointment. You know, I'm just gonna be honest here with Neptune squares. Yes, there are disappointments. You know, there are rose-colored glasses and the reality, and us realizing what's actually true. So that's the kind of full moon it's going to be. It's a tricky one. On June 16th, North Node will conjunct Venus in your 5th house, and I do believe that this is a confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. North Node has the energy of Uranus, right? It's chaotic, it's progressive, and it's this unknown, unfamiliar territory that we're exploring. And there seems to be this confirmation from Venus, you know, softening, smoothing out the edges of North Node, that you are on the right track. Whether it is about romantic pursuits, right? You are on the right track. You should be opening up to these connections. You should be, not necessarily should be dating right now, but maybe it's a healthy thing to do for you. Or maybe you should be maybe trying for a child, you know, if you truly want that, and work has been constantly stopping you and somebody else constantly has been stopping you. But if you want to do this and if you're working on it, you are on the right track. self-expression, right, in any way. And it could be in some way, you know, uneasy for you to express yourself in certain way in the last few years, and especially in the last few months, with North Node being there. However, Venus is encouraging you to keep moving forward, to keep working on that self-expression, on that business of yours, on that you know, conception, whatever that might be, because it's good for you. This is where you need to be. I believe it's a very pleasing, very reassuring kind of transit. And the last one, June 28th, there will be a new moon in Cancer in your 7th house, squaring Jupiter in the 4th house. So this one is also conjunct Lilith, okay? So there may be the element of deceit between you, your partner, and maybe a family member. There may be a disagreement between you and your partner regarding property or regarding family, regarding a specific family member, regarding maybe home life generally, like what's going on behind the scenes in home. What's interesting is that one of you is expecting a new development in that area, like between each other, right? And there will be a new development in your life. However, there will be also this element of, I keep saying element, this energy of exaggerating, you know, imagining something way better, something way too perfect, something like fairy tale, and then when you get your real result, you know, you may feel disappointed. But it's not because the result is bad, the result is realistic. It's because you've expected, you know, some crazy perfect things there. So there may be something that you're working on between you and your partner, or you and your colleague, or maybe a family member, regarding the property, regarding a certain contract, regarding just overall home life. There's something that you're changing, but then you're getting that result, you're getting this new development. It may not quite be as perfect as you would like, and the key here is to not be disappointed. You know what I mean? The key here is to have realistic expectations, because there may be some things that need to be adjusted between you and your partner, between you and your family, between you and your partner and the property that you're working on. There may be some things that are still good, they're just not that fairy tale that you have imagined. So it's a tricky new moon as well. You know, it's like, yes, you're getting this new beginning, but maybe it's not quite how you envisioned it yet. But yet, right? Because it is a 6-month cycle. So it will get better eventually. But thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius, I hope that you are doing well. June 3rd, Mercury is going direct in your 4th house. So any kind of miscommunications at home, with family, with relatives, right? Any kind of mistakes in contracts when it comes to property, any kind of a break, you know, like I don't know, leakage, or like something breaking in your home. All that is finally solving itself, resolving. Things are getting fixed, communications are much smoother now, you know, it's not as chaotic at home. And I mean, Mercury cannot be too crazy, but it can be annoying, right? So now that June 3rd is arriving, Mercury is going direct, things are becoming smoother. On June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 1st house. And, you know, Saturn has been adding so much work to your individuality. You've been really growing up, right? No matter how old you are, you've been taking on all these different duties and responsibilities that maybe a couple years ago you didn't even know you could handle. And now you're handling them, and very, very well. Going retrograde here, it tells you that, you know, you need to look back at some gaps that you've missed. And it's honestly, I don't think that this transit is challenging to you specifically. I think, if anything, it is kind of building your character better and stronger, and it is filling in all the gaps that you may have missed in the recent past. You know, maybe there are some things that you try to kind of miss out on purposely, some things you you try to avoid between you and other people, between you and your partners. It is time to face them. It is time to solve those issues. It is time to have that important conversation, possibly. And it's all happening until October 23rd. Once October 23rd hits, that's when Saturn is going to station direct. This is when there will be less miscommunications, there will be less issues, there will be more things clear, more things known, there will be more stability surrounding you. And that's a good thing, right? Because all you've been doing really is establishing yourself in the last few months, or I should say the whole transit of Saturn in Aquarius. So it will be beneficial for you, for your individuality, for your connections, for your relationships with other people, okay? And it also may allow you to step even further into your professional field, maybe in your personal relationships, where you may gain more self-confidence and more opportunity to act on your goals. On June 11th, Uranus is conjuncting Venus in the 4th house here. So that one is interesting because, for example, if your home has been on sale for a long time, you can receive an unexpected offer, and it could be better than what you expect. Okay, it could be very sudden, unexpected, and a very pleasant number. If you've been trying to move but didn't have an opportunity, now that opportunity is going to arrive. There could be some pleasant but unexpected, almost shocking developments happening in life of your family member, okay? And you could be a direct witness of that. There could be a new addition to the family, and I'm talking pregnancy of you or someone else in the family. So it's a new addition, and it's unexpected, but it's pleasant, right? Because Venus is smoothing out the edges of Uranus. And it just sounds interesting when I say that. And it's really all about pleasant surprises coming your way here in the 4th house. Of course, there could be a new contract that may come up. There may be a guest that arrives very unexpectedly to your home. Yeah, so everything that is connected to property, everything that's connected to like green cards, citizenships, and stuff like that, there could be some very quick developments there, exciting ones too. On June 14th, there will be a full moon in Sagittarius in your 11th house, and it will square Neptune in your 2nd house. So this one is a little tricky. So there is a culmination here when it comes to a certain bonus, certain payout, certain reward that maybe you are expecting for the last 6 months, and it's finally coming to an end. However, there is something that you have to acknowledge. There's something that you have to realize when it comes to your income generally from basically 11th house. Let's say it is your paychecks, it is your wage, it is the bonuses, the commission that you may be getting, any kind of rewards that you may be getting. And 2nd house is that stream of income that's constant. Okay, so these two, they're at odds around this full moon, meaning that the benefit that you probably receive may not quite be as great as you would like for it to be, to join your current stream of income. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe it's different from what you expected, right? Neptune takes off your rose-colored glasses and makes you face the reality here. It's like, okay, so is this something that I really expected this whole time? This is not good. I need to change this. I need to either raise prices, or I need to talk to the manager, the boss, or there is something here that needs to basically be done. So it's an ending, it's a culmination, right? And then there is a new step afterwards. However, you have to you have to kind of figure out what you're valuing right now, what's the value that's most important, and work towards that direction. Because what you may receive in the 11th house may not quite be aligned with what you would like to be making. But also it's still, however, something, it's still something, and it's finishing, and you no longer have to deal with it. For example, there was a very long, annoying project that's finally over. You're gonna get paid for it and forget it. That could be something like that. There could be unfortunately, you know, an ending between you and someone that you considered a friend, because the element of Neptune square is basically being disappointed in a person. So there can be a community that may cause disappointment. There may be a specific friend that may cause disappointment as well. So yeah, for some of you, you know, it could be financial. For others, it can be personal, in a way, like who you network with, who you are friends with, who you collaborate with, and so on. On June 16th, North Node will conjunct Venus in the 4th house. And, you know, North Node has the energy of Uranus, where it is progressive, it is chaotic, and at the same time, it's this unknown, unfamiliar territory that we are exploring. And it feels unfamiliar to us, right? So with the conjunction to Venus, it seems like you kind of adjusting to home life, to new home life, to maybe a change of homes, to this new status, possibly, you know, for example, like a citizenship, or maybe you are adjusting to some kind of a new living condition, to a new family member living in your home, to you paying attention more to home rather than career, because, you know, now maybe it's time to raise a family and just relax at home and be a housewife for a little bit, right? For everyone, it's going to be different. But Venus is here to tell you that you are doing a great job at that. You know, you are in your current element, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are doing great. I think this is the realization, the reassurance, the confirmation that's going to come around this date, that will help you realize that, yes, you know, I'm exploring this territory that I'm not quite used to. I'm home more. Maybe I started working from home. You know, I started spending more time with my family. Yeah, I prefer maybe a more detached lifestyle, you know, from all that. But it's not that bad. You know, it's actually nice. It's pleasant. So that's the kind of energy I'm seeing with this conjunction. And on June 28th, new moon, there will be a new moon happening in Cancer in your 6th house, and it will square Jupiter in your 3rd house. So there may be a new development, and it's conjunct Lilith as well. So there may be a new development happening in your 6th house, where, let's say, there is a new job opportunity, there is an interview, there is a new development, which, you know, there is like a timeline of 6 months. Basically, it will be relevant for at least 6 months. It's exciting in some way, but at the same time, it's almost a little bit deceiving, because, for example, you know, there is a great job opportunity, and you go for it, and you're halfway through the process, and then you find out that they want some kind of a certification from you, some kind of a higher qualification from you, and you may have to, you know, kind of get that done, or maybe bring a certain document, find a certain document, file for something here to be able to actually proceed with this. There could also be really a new situation connected to your health, for example, new treatment, new doctor, you know, you dealing with some kind of a new routine to improve your health. But at the same time, you know, with the 3rd house, it's like you are confused how you're supposed to maintain that kind of lifestyle and have your it's like you can't combine, or you can, but you cannot imagine how it would work. Let's say you have to go see this doctor, to go to this clinic, I don't know, out of town, like an hour away, like 3 times a week. But then, you know, your Jupiter in the 3rd house is kind of suffering in a way, because, well, but how am I going to do my everyday stuff? You know, how am I going to make these trips happen? Sometimes it's very exaggerated, where, you know, with the square to Jupiter, it's like we're imagining this beautiful fairy tale, but in reality, it's kind of difficult to achieve. It's difficult to maintain, you know, and it's not that the result is bad. It's that the expectation is too high. So this is the energy here that could be present with some kind of a change of routine, but at the same time, there's disruptions in the routine. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's really great, but can I actually maintain it? You will have to adjust to that sometime, somehow, but there are going to be some new developments happening that are going to be helpful for your health in the next 6 months, or maybe helpful to your work to your lifestyle somehow, but there will also be some adjustments that need to be done. And don't think that maybe you can take it all and be able to deal with it all and maintain it all, manage it all, one thing at a time. I think this is what this new moon is trying to tell us. So yeah, good luck with everything, guys. I hope that this was helpful. And now we're moving on to Pisces. Hi Pisces, finally I got to you. Not only that, you know, I'm excited about Pisces because I'm a Pisces rising, but also because this is the last sign after like 2 hours of recording. So I always am very happy when I get to Pisces. Okay, so June 3rd, Mercury is going direct in your third house. So if there was a huge set of documents that you had to prepare, finally it's done, it's being launched, it's being done. You no longer have to run around and get any kind of documents. If there were some weird communications, miscommunications going on with your colleagues or relatives or your close social circle, that's also done. That's going to be going much smoother. Maybe you had to continuously make repeated trips somewhere, like you had to go back and forth. It's also done. You know, there may be like a final time or two where you have to go somewhere for the 4th, 5th time, but now it's done with Mercury in the 3rd house. Your technology is going to be working better. You know, things are no longer going to be lagging as much. So that's good news. On June 5th, Saturn is going retrograde in your 12th house. And this one, I'm not excited for this one because, you know, Saturn in the 12th has been bringing up a lot of fears for us, a lot of unpleasant situations that are happening in our mind, in our kind of subconscious rather than in reality. You know, there could be a lot of unnecessary fears. It's like there's nothing actually to fear right now, and yet we're full of those fears and full of that anxiety, you know. And there can be Saturn's transit back into the past, even though 12th house already rules the past, but Saturn is going to dig even deeper into the past and, you know, get certain traumas out and have us face them and work through them, because, you know, 12th house is all about kind of fixing yourself, you know, so that way when it moves into the 1st house, Saturn does, you know, we're willing to do the necessary work. We're healed, we're strong, and we're ready to take action. So I feel like until October 23rd there will be a theme, you know, us digging deep. Camera died. So with this transit we will be digging deep, basically, into our subconscious, into our fears. It's a psychological transit, I would say. But on the other hand, this could bring some documentation, some information maybe from like an immigration process, in case if you are going through one, if you are trying to go to faraway land, to foreign countries, right, and you are trying to get your paperwork in order, this time until October 23rd will be the time to work on that paperwork, to work on immigration generally as well. Now on June 11th, Uranus will conjunct Venus in your 3rd house in Taurus, and that is nice. You know, that could actually bring a new contact, a new acquaintance into your life that can be very significant. They're not a mentor necessarily, but they can help you somehow. They can get you to express yourself in a different way, you know, because Uranus is very progressive and it's very unexpected. And while it can bring a very progressive, very like modern kind of person into your life, you know, this can also bring up a very different behavior in you as well, thanks to this person, right, that you may be connecting with somehow. It's a very interesting acquaintance that is entering your life. What it could also mean is that there may be some kind of a sudden opportunity to take a course, to just get into like studying something, and it could be astrology, for example, because Uranus rules astrology, or maybe it could be something in tech, which that's what I'm doing. But you definitely take your steps towards something that is futuristic, that is something progressive. Okay, so that is a nice transit here. It's like an opportunity to learn something that can benefit your future, right? And I mean, Taurus, third house action, you know, it's been around about learning, about exploring something new studies and so on. So that's, I think, exciting for Pisces. On June 14th, full moon in Sagittarius in the 10th house will square Neptune in the first. This one is tricky and it is pretty strong for mutable signs. So I feel like there are some culminations in your work environment. There may be the authorities changing, like the management changing, leaving, you know, there may be just a completely different dynamic now at your work. There may also be a status change for you, culmination, you know, before and after. Actually, my wedding is in the 2 weeks after the full moon, you know, in those 2 weeks before the new moon. This is basically when my wedding is, and yes, my status is changing. Obviously, I'm gonna be married, but you know, here it's there is a little bit of tension that comes with this change, that comes with this culmination. There may be uncertainty coming from you in terms of what you want to do with your career, in terms of, like, do you see yourself at this position? And no, I definitely don't have those doubts regarding the wedding, right, regarding my status. However, you know, I can say that regarding my career, there are many different avenues that I'm trying to take and want to take, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. You know, sometimes it can feel lost because I have all these ideas, I'm interested in a lot of things, and it's like, so what do I actually choose, right? Because I also have a family and I need to be focused on the family matters as well as career matters, right? So there is that confusion here, maybe, like, what do you really want to do? What kind of role do you want to have in the public world, right? Do you want to change jobs? Do you want to maybe start something of your own, right? And I feel like in the 10th house, yes, there is something completing here for you. There is something changing here, but you know, you may not quite see the final result yet. It may be very foggy, and even though it's a square to Neptune, which usually drops the rose-colored glasses and you see the reality clearly, I feel like what you could see right now is still that uncertainty and you know, not really knowing how to get situated in one place, you know. So I think it will just take time. It may take some time to adjust and to really figure out what you want out of your career, out of your status, and so on. June 16th, North Node will conjunct Venus in your third house, and that's another nice thing happening in the third house. And I'll say this, you know, North Node has this similar energy to Uranus, which is basically chaotic and progressive and modern, and also, you know, it's unfamiliar, unknown territory that we are exploring, we are learning it. It's something new to us, right? So I will say this, most likely you are going to get some kind of confirmation, you're going to get reassurance that you are on the right track with your studies, right? That you are on the right track with exactly what you're learning right now, the knowledge that you're gaining, the certificates that you might be getting, you know, the path to success that you are taking. It is the one that's right for you right now. You know, don't doubt yourself. Know that this aspect that's going to happen, and it's going to be some kind of a message that comes your way, some kind of a situation that may happen that will confirm that you are on the right path, that you are in the right field, right? Or that you are studying exactly what you need to study right now, something that will actually be beneficial for your future, and so on. So that's just a very pleasant transit. It's not one of the strongest ones, but I find it to be pretty beneficial and helpful. And finally, on June 28th, we have a new moon in Cancer squaring Jupiter. Fifth and second houses are going to be involved. So new moon in Cancer, there may be some new developments here happening with your business, for example, or some kind of a creative project of yours. But it's also conjunct Lilith. So it's a little tricky, you know, it's not quite what it seems. There may be some exciting developments that you want to do with your business or with your creativity, with your time as well, with your free time, right? With your romantic life too. It's like you want something new there, and something new is happening there. It's still a new moon after all. But there is something there that's not quite right. And with a square to Jupiter, this could mean that maybe you visualize something absolutely perfect, something amazing, something that is incredible. But in reality, you just get a simple, more realistic result. And it's not that the result is bad that we're disappointed. It's our expectations that are too high. And that's why we can be disappointed. So the key here is to be realistic about these results, realistic about these expectations. Because even if it's connected to romance, let's say you go on a blind date, or let's say you start talking to someone, you can visualize this perfect person, right? But in reality, it may not quite be, it may not quite be a perfect person. They may just be a regular person with their problems, with their, I don't know, life, and you could be like, oh, that's not a prince, or this could be, for example, regarding your business. There is this hype going on. Maybe you're trying to do something new, but then you look at your financial situation, right? With the square to Jupiter in your financial house, and you're like, well, that didn't quite, give me the income that I wanted. That's not quite paying off how I would want it to, so this is the element of disappointment. Just know that no matter how much you're trying, no matter what you're doing, it's life, right? And things aren't always perfect, and things aren't always these fairy tales. As long as you have the realistic expectations of these results with the Cancer new moon, everything should be fine, and you should accept it just fine and continue moving forward, because you will be given 6 months to perfect a certain project in the 5th house. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.